Hey guys, my name is Esther. Welcome to my channel, or welcome back. It has been a minute since I've posted anything, but I had the great opportunity to visit Costa Rica recently. So this reminds me of a verse I wanted to share with you all. It's from James. James chapter 1 verse 17 says, "Every generous act and every perfect gift is from above, coming down from the Father of lights. With him there is no variation or shadow cast by turning." So it was just, Costa Rica has always been like my dream place to visit, and I wanted actually to go to my home country, Brazil, this summer. It didn't really work out. Didn't have my Brazilian passport up to date, and then last minute I learned about a coworker of mine who was visiting Costa Rica, and I kind of invited myself to join her for a week, and it was fabulous. So in this video I'm just going to share pretty much just share about my trip, and hopefully there'll be a few key takeaways if you stick around till the end. And there'll also be another cute little video, a little buddy of mine. All right, so let's get into it. So arriving in a new country for the first time is always an exciting adventure. So the first thing I did was exchange some money while I was waiting for my luggage. It was very convenient. It was right beside the carousel or whatever it's called. And then I got a taxi. My friend, who's a Tico, a native of Costa Rica, he had told me about the red taxis being the best option. They're more affordable than the orange taxis. However, I learned that the red taxis actually are not allowed to come into like the airport. So I just got an orange taxi. It was late, it was dark. I was told it was probably the best option. So my trip to my hotel cost about $17 for a 15-minute ride. When I arrived at my hotel, the security guard just checked me in and took my luggage down to my room, handed me a key, said goodnight. So at first I freaked out a little bit because my room was so hot, and I had really hoped all my hotel rooms would have AC. So I finally figured that out. They have like this unit that's installed in the wall. It's different than in North America where they have more central heating and AC. I was also so excited to be greeted by this amazing view the next morning. I really hadn't slept hardly at all that night. My room was actually facing the street, so I have quite a few buses and bikes and stuff going by at night. And I never realized that they had blackout curtains in my room until the next morning. I also had hardly had anything to eat the day before, just some snacks as I was traveling, and you know, short flights these days don't give you hardly anything. So I was really excited about rice and beans for breakfast. This breakfast was amazing. It's actually called Gallo Pinto, I believe. My friend who was telling me about the taxis, he actually has a great recipe for it. Maybe I'll link it down below. I hope to try it soon. So that morning it was a little bit chilly, but eventually I decided to just jump in the pool. It was amazing scenery there too. So at noon, I checked out of this hotel, and I had been given some advice about how to take a couple buses to my next destination. I was just going to a hotel in San Jose, and I thank God for some very helpful Ticos I met along the way who guided me. So I had to change buses in downtown Alajuela, and there really weren't that many signs, but some people got me right exactly to the line that I needed to be in to get on the bus to San Jose. And then the hotel I stayed in that night is called Hotel Dunn Inn. It had a very different vibe. Of course, it was more urban. I was now in the capital, San Jose, and there's indigenous art like all along the hallways, and all the rooms also were named after some Bribri language, the Bribri indigenous people's language. And so it was kind of interesting. I was really exhausted, but I wanted to explore. I started actually up this hill to go to the Costa Rica National Historic Museum. That was a few blocks away. But at one point I had a map in one hand, my cell phone in the other, trying to figure out like how to get there. My GPS was sort of working. And then some guy signals for me to cross. He was about to do a left turn. So I step out onto what I thought was a road, but it was really the gutter. And I trip, I fall, I scrape my knee, I tear a hole in my pants and my shoes. And then it just kind of hurt my pride a bit too, because I had just gotten directions from the guys at the hotel. So I had to go back and admit defeat. But I'm really grateful that at least the car saw me and I didn't get run over, right? So I get some ice from the cafe for my knee, and a glass of milk, and I head to bed. There's actually a band preparing to play right there, but surprisingly I slept through like the whole concert, and I met my friend early the next morning at Tropics station. We were heading to Manuel Antonio. So the bus we got was a direct bus, so it wasn't stopping along the way picking people up. It was about a 3-hour drive, and it was incredibly beautiful. We did stop, I think maybe once at a rest area. And then we also stopped in Quepos, and we continued on because Manuel Antonio is right after Quepos. Though, actually, in retrospect, I think we probably should have gotten off in Quepos. I'm not sure. It seemed like it would have made more sense to get a taxi from Quepos to our hotel. But of course, we're both brand new to the country. We didn't really know what was going on. And we had another learning moment. When we did decide we should get off, I asked the bus driver if he knew where our hotel was, and he didn't exactly know, but we got off, and immediately we were greeted on the beach at the stop right in Manuel Antonio in front of the beach. We were greeted by these men who are like, "Oh yeah, you want a taxi? You want a taxi? Come with us. We have a taxi." And I probably should have just like crossed the road and gotten a bus in the other direction. So at this point, we were just starving and just wanted to get to our hotel and go find some food. So we got in this taxi, and it was kind of sketch. Like, I don't think he was a real taxi driver, and there's another guy in the car with him who was going on and on about how we were going to have a really hard time finding any tickets to the Manuel Antonio National Park, which was actually true. And so he wanted us to buy tickets from him, and then he would be our tour guide. And so anyways, in the end, we did finally find our hotel. It had changed names. It used to be California Hotel, but then it became Planeta Sano Eco Lodge. But we found it, we're charged a fortune, and yeah, we went on our merry way. But moral of the story is, look for a red taxi next time, or just cross the street and get on a bus and then find your way that way. But don't get in random cars with people. So the second thing I learned in Manuel Antonio is that if you go there, you should be ready to hike and walk because, well, okay, it's a small town, right? But everything is very hilly. Our hotel was like at the top of this big hill. We tried to explore get to this beach that was near where we ate lunch, but like we hiked, and we actually never even got to the beach. We just got to some viewpoints, and they were incredible. But yeah, I really wasn't expecting that. We were also both wearing sandals because, hey, we were just trying to find a beach, right? We didn't know that in the end, we would end up like on these crazy steep trails. And some ladies saw us and were like, you really should get out of here before dark, especially in those sandals. And so we just turned around instead of continuing on to the beach. And but I was exhausted, like, man, like it was intense. And my friend, she's a lot more fit than I am, so she was probably gonna be able to make it, but I didn't know if I would. So I thank God that like I was just praying that we would get out of there. And we came across some ticos, and I asked them, where can we get a taxi? And they're like, well, maybe you can call for one. And I was like, our phones don't work. And so in the end, like, they called a taxi to meet us at the end of the trail. So I'm so grateful. Even though it took forever to get out of the trail, our taxi guy was still waiting for us. We got a taxi. He was super great. And as soon as we arrived in our hotel, I realized I didn't have my cell phone on me. And at this point, it was pouring rain, and I was like, it's over. Okay, my phone's dead. It's in a trail somewhere. But thankfully, my friend, she had the thought to WhatsApp the taxi company, and thank God it had fallen out in the taxi. He brought it back, and yes, it was such a relief. And then from that point on, just enjoyed this beautiful rainstorm. So we were also a bit bummed because when we went online to the actual Manuel Antonio Park website, the tickets were sold out. But thankfully we talked to the receptionist at the hotel, and she was able to get us tickets with this company that they work with. And so we had I guess, this van with this company come pick us up. We had a tour guide, and then we went through the Manuel Antonio Park, looked at some animals. I'll share some pictures, maybe more at the end of this video. And we went to 2 beaches inside the park, which were amazing. Like, just swimming in the ocean while hearing like howler, I'm not sure what kind of monkeys, some kind of monkeys, and then laying under this tree with iguanas and monkeys running around. It was just incredible. The actual tour like wasn't maybe as like jungle-ish as we had expected. We were kind of just walking along these gravel trails, and then every once in a while our guide would spot something in the woods and show us. But yeah, thankfully we had an amazing more jungly experience in the next town we went to. So that was a really great day. The next morning we took a 5-hour shuttle to La Fortuna, and it was really beautiful. We actually went up along the coast, picked up some people in a nearby town, Yaco, and then got up into like the mountains. And La Fortuna is very near Arenal volcano, and so our hotel had a beautiful view of the volcano in the mornings, though honestly it was covered by clouds a lot of the time. And we also saw beautiful birds as we were eating breakfast outside. So some highlights of our time in La Fortuna was visiting Baldy Hot Springs. And then there's this incredible restaurant called Chocolate Fusion. And it had like different chocolates you could sample, ice creams, coffee. It was awesome. And then there was also a sloth tour. That was probably the best part. Yeah, and the awesome thing about the sloth tour that we booked was that the guide, like, he lived right next to our hotel, and so he threw in like a little bonus. At the end of the day, we also had a tour just within the compounds of the hotel, and it was raining like really hard that afternoon, and I was like, I bet the tour will be off. But we still went out in the rain, and it was great. I think the rain probably, well, does make all the little frogs come out, so we saw these incredible frogs. I bet all my 3rd graders that I teach would be so jealous, because we do like a whole, like half a semester just on frogs, like the glass tree frog and the poison dart frog, and then there's the red-eye tree frog, which is really cool too. So then the next morning I had to head back to San Jose, or really Alajuela, for my flight home. And this part was rough. I got so sick because the roads are extremely like curvy and narrow and like going down the mountain. If you are prone to getting car sick, don't forget Dramamine. Alright, so I'll close out this video showing you this little clip of my little buddy that we met on our last day in Costa Rica. He was extremely active, just for us. So thanks for watching, and if you go to Costa Rica, have an incredible time. Alright, peace out. Yeah, pictures of him. Look at it, look at it, it's moving. Very cool.